Highline is more than schools. It's people. Students, educators, leaders, families, and neighbors, each with a story to tell. These are our people, and these are our stories. Welcome to the Promise Podcast, where we share how the Highline Promise comes to life. Every student is known by name, strength, and need, and graduates prepare for the future they choose. I'm your host, Superintendent Duran. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the Promise Podcast. Today's guest is one of our Highline parents, Savannah Benally. Savannah, welcome. I'm really grateful you're here today. You're a Highline parent and a powerful voice in our Native education community. To start us off, can you introduce yourself, your full name, your family, tribal connection, and how you're connected to Highline?
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm Savannah Benally. I have two children, Miko and Monica, and they are both at Madrona Elementary in SeaTac. And we live with my spouse, Crispin, and we are a multiracial family. I'm represent natives of the Southwest, so predominantly Navajo, Hopi, and Ute. My kids and I are registered with the Navajo Nation, and Chris is from Puebla, Mexico. And so my kids are learning the two identities and seeing themselves in community that way.
Oh, that's wonderful. Are your kids also learning some Spanish in the process?
Yes, Miko's first language was Spanish and Navajo. Moni was mostly English, but she's picking up more Navajo now.
Oh, that's
And they are in that dual language program, so they do get Spanish every day from school and from us.
That's wonderful. And carrying on the Navajo language is so important now, knowing that there's fewer people who are speaking it.
Mm-hmm. It's a fun connection, and I really like that. Moni and I are closely connected in that way.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's great. And great experience for your students, knowing that, we often say that, languages provides more connections and opportunities for our students. So it's beautiful that you're able to raise them in a multilingual, multicultural family.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. All right. Well, you've experienced Highline in two important ways. First, through your work at Tyee High School and the Upward Bound Trio program, and now as a parent. Can you share a little bit about that journey and how your early connection to Highline kind of shaped what you wanted for your own children?
Oh, yeah. So I came into Highline through South Seattle College, working with Upward Bound, and they were expanding at the time to two additional schools, which was Tyee and Evergreen. And I came in as sort of with my scientific background to engage students who were interested in following medical or STEM-related fields. And so, yeah, Tyee was really great atmosphere for that. I really liked engaging with the two schools I mostly engaged with. At the time, it was Tyee and Global Connections, but I predominantly worked with Tyee. And then kind of maintained those connections. I had Miko, and then I really wanted to be a parent to him, and so I had to step back from teaching, and I've been managing my family in that way, but really just could not stay away from Highline. So as he grew up and we were looking for schools, I knew that I wanted him to be in Highline. There were just so many genuine connections that I had made, and I knew that we would have that support and community.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, I think one of the things about Highline that's so unique is that we know many people that have left Highline, and after briefly being gone, they want to come back, and we also know that there are many people who want to come and work in Highline, because I do think we are doing, some really good work here, and I think we are intentionally trying to ensure that people really do have that sense of belonging. Mm-hmm. And it's great, the background about Tyee, because I don't know if you know, we started a medical career pathway for students now in partnership with Virginia Mason, Franciscan Health. And so very excited about that. So, and sometimes in education, it's sometimes we repeat cycles of things that we're trying to do. I think this one's going to be a little more unique because we have this partnership, with the medical system, They're going to be providing internships, opportunities for students to get some real career exposure
Mhm.
and learn about options.
Mhm.
And in our last Promise podcast, we were actually at Tye High School with two students who are part of that program.
Mhm.
And, they're already thinking they both identified that they want to be doctors,
Oh, great.
and I think this is really helping them see that, yeah, there is this pathway,
Yeah.
forward for students,
Yes.
which is wonderful. I think the more we can have our students think about what could be possible, it helps to create that reality for their future.
Mhm.
Yeah. So when you were back at Tye, what kind of experience did you see with students from, helping them kind of get connected to what's their interest or what they could be passionate about? How did you encourage kids to think about other options for themselves?
Yeah. I think one of the things that surprised me when I was in that role was the holistic need to address um, support systems,
Mm,
like around each student. I went I went in thinking I could kind of guide them towards academics
mm,
and studying habits, and then found out there was so much more happening in their families and so much more disconnections that I needed to learn about so that I could fully support them and really their um, engage with their dreams and their goals. So one of the things I came away with from Tai was I had to know how to be a better human myself.
mm. Yeah.
And I think I couldn't fully understand the scope of all that I needed to support until I became a mom, because then you get to see all the other details that have to fall into place to support a child's learning. And so, with my teaching and now a mom, I feel like it's just sort of added to that.
Yeah, and I think that directly connects to our promise, to know our students by name, strength, and need. And we emphasize here in Highline that it's not just about academics, it's about the whole child. We have to really understand, what their big needs are. That's
Mhm.
really wonderful. All right. Well, I know your family also has really strong tie to the Native education program here in Highline. So, how has the program created a strong sense of belonging and safety for your children and family? And why does that kind of connection matter so much to you?
Uh, this takes me back to Miko starting preschool, standing at the bus stop and realizing I'm putting my kid on a bus with a lot of other nations and wondering how he was going to see himself among those nations. And like, how is he going to know his own identity? And then being a little curious, a little afraid about how to nurture that and where that support was going to come from. And then I get an email because I had registered him with as identifying as Native. And so we got this email from Sarah that was like, come join the Native Family Action Council. And I was like, okay, great community. This is where I'm going to find resources. And that's really what it became. It became a group where we pool resources, and they really show up for us with um, content like books from Native writers or just books with illustrations that look like them.
Yeah.
That was really important. But also connection, because a lot of families are not pooled in one school. We're kind of spread across. And so that kind of really thins out who you see that looks like you. And for my eldest, at the time, he was growing out his hair. And so he was really having to establish over and over again why he has his hair long and how that connects with his indigenous identity. But as we became more involved with Family Action Council and attending those Native community gatherings, he could see himself there. He could see that he wasn't alone. And that community aspect is really what I understand because I grew up on a reservation. So, like, predominantly Navajo, and very few students who are either identified as white or black or another nation. And I was very unfamiliar with how he's coming through as an urban Indian, and I'm this reservation girl. Um, so the community of the Native Education Program really provides that and keeps us connected so that we can see ourselves and exercise uh, our cultural belonging.
Yeah, that's wonderful and really probably help even advocate for each other. And, when you get stuck in different parts of education that could be confusing. Yeah, that's wonderful. That's such a good support. I know I was with all of you last week, having dinner, and I told, our team when I came back that I felt like I was with family.
Mhm.
That's what it felt like to me. So it's a extended family that you all have here, and I need to support, yourselves and your students. So one of the things I love about being here in Washington is that, we have, really it's a law, it's a requirement for us to teach the John McCoy, since time immemorial curriculum. So how do you see it as just a benefit for our students who are learning that curriculum, learning more around Native students here in Washington?
Oh, I think one word comes to mind, and that's accountability. And it keeps the presence of Native lives here and now and present. Um, but it also ensures that that history is taught, and the accountability isn't on Miko. It's not on the Native students to bring it into the classroom. It's like it's on the district to have it available and to resource families with it. And yeah.
Yeah, I told you earlier that, I saw, John, one of our Native education team members, teaching a lesson over at Hazel Valley, and it was just wonderful to see him connecting with the third grade students and answering their questions, showing his own experience from his tribe here in Washington, and it was just really beautiful. I just thought it just benefits all of our students because they learn about the history, learn about the challenges that our Native families and tribal communities have experienced, and but also the joy and the beauty of it, and just how much the traditions, still carry on and they're still alive and, well today. And it's important for everyone to learn that. I wish we could spend more time for more adults in our larger community understand that because, our Native people are proud and present. And
Mhm.
this, I think sometimes people think around, oh, well, that's history, but no, that curriculum really ensures that, yes, we understand the history, but also understand the power in the present.
Yeah. I think to add, there are resources online through the Native Education page that follow the content. So it's providing parents with content. And I want to put that out there because I've been able to look through and use some of those things and pull, or even just ask questions of my students, like, "Oh, did you guys talk about this? How did this come up in school?"
Mm.
And just to kind of really engage with curriculum as it's happening is important to me, and I feel like it's something that parents know that they can do too. And even just to educate ourselves continuously about the tribes of the Northwest and Coast Salish Seas, there are resources right there that we can access.
That's wonderful. Yeah, that's a great addition. So, for all of our listeners out there, opportunity for you to go to the Highline Schools website, and we have some of this information on our pages, and you can go and find out more about not just the John McCoy since time immemorial curriculum, but other resources to help you understand more and also to support your students. So
Yeah.
wonderful, great plug there. All right. Well, has there been a moment when you really felt that your child was known by name, strength, and need?
Yeah, I shared this at our family dinner a few weeks ago or last weekend. I was sharing that we had just had an IEP meeting with for my youngest and around speech. And I thought it was so powerful. Like we get into the room, Miko's familiar because he went through speech. He had just graduated, and so he knew everybody in the room. He knew the speech pathologist, who's very dear to us, Miss Holly. And then our building administrator was there, Miss Sandy Rios. And then the teachers of Monica, Miss Dominguez. And it was like, oh my God, we're in a room full of powerful women.
Mm,
And Moni had like, she was just there for fun.
mm,
There was no like anxiety. There was no, just the way that she could be there and be herself and to know that we, the mom, the administrator, the pathologist, the teacher, were wrapped around, like, literally sitting around talking about what she needs and the support that she needs with, speech was just like, "This is great. Like, this is what I want for my kids. This is comfortable. This is approachable. There's no conflict. There's no tension. It just feels safe." And that was one way that it showed up so clearly, I think. Um, and then but it's happened in that way in moments, but valuable moments throughout the last 5 years that Mika's been in Highline. And just same ways with speech, parent nights, family engagement events. Like, we just really look forward to engaging with the community of Highline.
That's wonderful. Yeah. You're really describing, we want for every one of our students and families experience, and it's that cultural belonging, the idea that everyone needs to feel welcome, valued, and safe, and really seen as in that moment, the most important person in the room. And that's a great experience. Thank you for sharing that. Well, when you think about the future for your children, for our Native students, and just for Highland as a whole, what gives you hope these days?
Oh gosh. One of our parents shared recently this keyword, and it's been with me. It sat with me. I'm holding it so close, and it's continuity.
Mm,
The continuity of the Native education program, um, the staff who are holding those positions, John and Sarah, um, Lita, who's always at our meetings, and just the continuity of people coming into these spaces and wanting to engage with families. Um, yeah, that's a big piece of what I see and what I want for the future. I want this to continue being a resource and a safe space for Native families and um, people who are just learning to to fill that identity if they hadn't been able to do it before. Um, yeah.
I love that continuity. I think that's so important these times because when there is so much uncertainty and really unpredictability around what's happening,
Absolutely.
especially at the national level right now, I think public education right now is in this place where we provide that continuity for our students and our families. And our job as, leaders and adults in the community is to hold that space
Yeah.
to ensure that that's the one thing that we do control.
Mhm.
That's the one thing that we can really work to do our best to
Mhm.
ensure
Mhm.
our families and students have that. So that's wonderful. Continuity. That's gonna be in my mind for a little bit. We have to think about how we can weave that into our next message going out to our community. Thank you. All right. Well, what's one dream you have for Highline students as they grow and move through our schools?
I had to reach back into my teaching role. Um, and I think one of the things that I had to impart on my students is that they can know their goals can be fluid. It does not have to be linear. It's not an equation of 4 years of this school, 4 years towards this degree, and then these other um, aspirations. It's like it can change. You can change your mind, and that's fine. You can switch careers, and so many skills are transferable. And I don't want that to be lost on kids as they make these plans, as they wonder if they can be a pilot and a doctor. Like there's no limit now. It's not like it used to be where it was sort of one tracked and you kind of pursue a career for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that's too linear. And that's what I like hope all all students are kind of coming to know right now.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I'm part of the Gates Roundtable. It's a state roundtable of just educational leaders, nonprofit leaders, government, and it's basically this trying to think about how we ensure these future success for our students. And one of the people representing some of our universities was just really speaking around when they are seeing students actually completing college or university, it's students who are passionate about what they're learning,
Mhm.
not necessarily the students that have already identified, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be a lawyer. They're the ones who are passionate about math, and they've just studied math for the 4 years that they're there. Are they really interested in science? And, they haven't been locked into, I'm going to be doing this at the end. So I really encourage that to our students too. Just find what you're really interested in and then just learn about it, become the expert and be passionate about it. Find out all the different things you can about it, and then it'll come.
Mhm.
It'll come.
Yeah.
It'll come.
And I think I'm learning that too because I thought I was headed for, like, teaching for long term,
Mm,
and I've had to step away, and I don't see myself stepping back into it, but there are opportunities for it, and I do really engage with those opportunities. It's not full-time, but it's here and there, and they're memorable. They're deep, and they're visceral, and I think if I had known that a little bit earlier, I wouldn't be so, like, afraid to step out
mm,
of, my tracked thinking of I have a teaching degree, I have to be a teacher. I have a biomedical degree, I have to be a biomedical researcher, and, those things kind of stopped me sometimes when I couldn't identify as I could do all of that.
yeah, yeah.
And art, like, science and art, like, those are things that really drive me and are really motivated, um, big sources of motivation for me, so
Yeah, well, when you're ready to get back into it, let us know. We'll be happy to hire you here in Highline. Maybe we can combine those passions together. I could already see, teaching biomedical, at the pathway programs that we have. So definitely have to keep that in mind. So, and I also just think it makes me think about my own career because I obviously started off as a teacher, as a fifth grade teacher, but I've done, so many different roles. It's really feels like even though I've been in education for, over 30 years, I've had this opportunity to do so many different roles and now, leading the school system has, been a real blessing for me. But I've always, my advice to people has always been just do good work with whatever you're doing and things will come,
yeah.
build upon the success you have. I don't always be looking for what's next. And that's my experience has been, do a good work and
Mhm,
things come,
mhm.
the blessings come. So, okay, well, we're going to shift a little bit for our last question here, and you can make this personal, professional, however you want to. So, what's something you're reading, watching, or listening to right now that you'd recommend to our listeners?
Oh, g oops. So this comes from Miko and Monica. We were gifted a book by Brian Young through our Native education program called Healer of the Water Monster, and we fell in love with it because it is based on Navajo folklore,
Mm,
and reading it to them, there's Navajo mixed into it, and so I can hear my mom speaking Navajo, I can hear Navajo spoken, at a flea market, and that's coming through the book as I'm reading it, and it was really engaging. So this past Christmas, we found out that Brian Young wrote a second book following the, heroes of the first, and so we're reading that right now, and we're so excited. But yeah, big recommendations from
okay,
my kids.
that's great. All right, I'm gonna definitely have to look that one up and get that for my kids. I always love new books, and that's a good one to introduce them to so they can
Yeah.
have that connection too to learn a little bit more around some of the Navajo traditions and wakes. All right. Well, thank you so much for that. And thank you so much for being part of our Promise podcast today. I really appreciate you being here.
I do wanna share, I have a gift because this is what we do in our culture, so this is a thank you, and I brought you, Navajo tea. It's a
Fabulous.
red tea, um, and it's just holistic, um, how do you say, medicine. Kind of helps your gut and keeps things moving in your whole system, your immune system, and it's yeah,
Oh,
from
wonderful.
sharing
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. I will definitely take this and use this. It makes me just think right away that, yesterday we did affinity groups with our leaders and I had the pleasure and honor of co-leading our Latinx group with Dr. Andrew Benitez. And we started off, we went outside and we did a little Olympia, a little cleansing, and I had some Palo Santo so lit that up and, let everybody take hold of that, bring some of the smoke in, and then that represents kind of a cleansing and a lot of connections people had. And, many people say, wow, I remember my grandmother used to do Olympias with us, used to cleanse us with smoke. So I will use this in the same way in a very deep spiritual way to help heal and continue my journey here in Highline. So thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, wonderful. Okay, well, that's it for this episode of the Promise Podcast. These stories remind us that Highline is built by people, students, staff, families, and community members, each making the promise real in their own way. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss our next episode. I'm your host, Dr. Ivan Duran. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to sharing more stories with you soon.